Welcome back to a fresh new episode of FAB-VOCAB by Linguists Academy. The first word I have brought for you today is anecdote. Anecdote, a word which you have often seen or heard. Now, what is this anecdote? This anecdote is a brief account of a real incident. A real incident which either you have experienced or someone else has experienced. Anecdotes are usually quite interesting. They are interesting because they relate to the fact that you are talking about at that moment. Anecdotes are also quite often humorous. Of course, not always, but quite often they are humorous. Anecdotes are used, in fact, to supplement a point that you are making. When you have to convince people, you supplement your speaking with certain kinds of examples, and these examples are in the form of a narrative when we call them anecdotes. Let's move on and see this picture. This picture is a group of friends. Okay, in this picture you see a group of friends, and one friend is telling the others something. Now let us assume this friend is narrating an incident in support of a point she is making. So the incident he or she narrates to his friends in support of what he has already said is called an anecdote. Let's see how we can use the word anecdote in application in sentences, like we usually do. See this sentence. She tried to reduce the tension in the room. She tried to reduce the tension in the room by sharing a funny anecdote. A funny incident. She tried to bring it up and she tried to share it with others just so that it would release the tension in the room. So she shared a funny anecdote. The next sentence, if you see, as she read out the text, the teacher stopped and went on to share an anecdote. Now, this is what usually teachers need to resort to when they have to explain a concept, when they have to explain a point that they are stating. They need to use anecdotes. The next word is quote. Now, what happens with quote? Quote is used as a verb as well as a noun. Now, when you use quote as a verb, what happens? When you use quote as a verb, it is used in a way that when you say to quote, it means to repeat exactly something that somebody else has said or written. To quote means to repeat exactly what someone else has said or written. To quote also means to say what the cost of a piece of work will approximately be. To quote means to state what the cost of a piece of work would probably be. As a noun, we say quotes are words which we use, which are said by famous people as they are without making any change. Now remember, this is a specific characteristic of a quote, that quotes are words which are exactly said by those people who have quoted them, who have said them. These are great personalities usually, and we do not make any change. Now, let's see how the word quote can be used in application. I'd like to quote Mahatma Gandhi on education. Education which does not mold character is absolutely worthless. Now, if you notice, I have put a comma. I have used single quotes, that is single inverted commas, when I have put in Mahatma Gandhi's words as they are. So, I'd like to quote Mahatma Gandhi on education, after which I put a comma. Then I used single inverted commas to add his words as they are without making any change, that education which does not mold character is absolutely worthless. The news report quoted the CBI chief's assessment of the situation. The news report quoted the CBI chief's assessment of the situation, which means that the news reporter wrote down or expressed or brought forth the same words that were used by the CBI chief. There was no alteration made, no change made in those words. Now, if we see the difference between anecdote and quote, we will notice that anecdote is a narrative of an incident. It's a narrative of an incident. Whereas quote is equal to actual words of a speaker as they are without any change. Similarly, anecdote is a self-experience or experience of someone else that is shared in order to support a point. A quote is also used to support a point, but in exactly the same words as the speaker has said or expressed, and no change has been made. So also when you quote someone, it is a norm to give credit to that person. So you do specify the name of the person when you quote him. And also remember that usually when we quote people, we quote famous personalities, because their experience of life does matter and we learn from their experiences. So quotes are generally associated with great personalities. Thank you very much for being here with Linguists Academy, for listening to the difference between anecdote and quote. I'm sure you'll be able to use these words effectively now. You will also be able to understand the meaning of these words in the right sense when you read them. Thank you for being with us on FAB-VOCAB. On behalf of Linguists Academy, I wish you a very, very good day. Bye-bye till we meet again.